before we start, but then we have 93 people online already, so would like to start. So we'll hand over to George, who would introduce us to today's speaker, and then we can proceed from there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Abigail. Yes, my name is George Johnson. Yeah, so yes, my name is George Johnson. I'm working for GIZ on the Ghana Green Cooling Program, and we have with us Mr. Philip Denzinger, who is a project manager for the Ghana Green Cooling Program and the Proclima program in Germany. I think he's heading a lot of projects in Kenya, Ghana, other African countries, all related to green cooling and other carbon footprint reduction programs. So he's a project manager with GIZ. He has been working with GIZ for over more than 15 years now, and we have been working together here in Ghana on green cooling initiative since 2016. Yeah, so I introduce to you Mr. Philip Denzinger to give us a presentation on the Ghana Green Cooling Program. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity. As George said, I've been working with Ghana now on green cooling for the last 12 years. I'm every month in Ghana, but I'm not based in Ghana. I've been working globally in many countries. I work a lot in Africa with many countries. And yeah, I'm really happy for this opportunity. Thank you so much for giving us this space, and also thank you so much for participating. It was 93, it might be even more. So let me go in the presenter mood and mood also, and present. So I want to mainly talk about highly energy efficient, climate and environmental friendly R290 air conditioners. But I will, of course, give you also a bit of an overview about how does the sector look like, the refrigeration. For you, of course, the air conditioning is more relevant. Also policies and strategies, also standards, safety standards. Then I will talk a little bit about our Ghana Green Cooling Program. We have an incentive scheme. And there we also will talk about the trained technicians and end of life, and I give you a quick summary. I think because we're 93, better you write your question in the chat, or you keep it, and then after I present, then I'm happy to go back and answer all your questions, hopefully. So, I mean, basically what we always try to do, we try to bring together the Paris Agreement, like climate change, and the Montreal Protocol, where we talk about substances that are used in air conditioners, refrigerants, but also blowing agents, and its Kigali Amendment. And then we also want to talk about energy policies. So we want to bring this three together, and that's sustainable cooling. And of course, the Sustainable Development Goals play a crucial role. And the Kigali Amendment, I will just talk in a minute about it. Looking at refrigeration and air conditioning sector, there we can tell overall 2/3 of the emissions. I mean, we do climate change projects for the German government or for the Swiss government. That's what we implement in Ghana with EPA. But we also cooperate with Energy Commission. We have many different projects. We had many projects over the last 12 years related to cooling and air conditioning. And overall, what we can say based on the data is like, yeah, 2/3 of the emissions of equipment comes from the energy consumption, and 1/3 of the emission come from the refrigerant or blowing agents. And I mean, when we started around 100 years ago, over 100, it's almost 200 years ago, you see the first refrigerators and so on, we only had natural refrigerants. And then we used CFCs, and then we realized CFCs are bad for the ozone layer. So we moved to HCFCs, but they still have an ozone layer impact and a high climate impact. And then we said no more HCFCs. Under the Kigali Amendment, we are now phasing out HFCs. So they have a high climate impact, but no more ozone impact. And now we come to newer substances, HFOs and blends, and they are even really environmentally friendly. They like contain PFAS, that is also called forever chemicals. So now we're moving back to naturals, you know, and I think this is not only a single example. I think there's more examples that, yeah, after a lot of industrialization and whatever, we're moving back to natural solutions. And so we promote natural refrigerants. So meaning we move straight to natural refrigerants and natural blowing agents. Ideally, we use solar energy or at least highly energy efficient appliances to keep the climate and the environmental footprint as low as possible, but also to save electricity and cost. So I focus a lot here on air conditioning. You see, I mean, you still remember maybe R12 now, there's still a lot of R22 that needs to be phased out very soon. So there will be no more refrigerant for servicing for air conditioners for R22. And now we have a lot of R410A, but the government already needs to come. I already came up with the Kigali implementation plan, HFC phase out. So R410 phase down, sorry. R410 will be phased out also, yeah, because the GWP is far too high, as you can see. If you look at a 20 years impact, 1 kilo of 410A has almost 5 tons of CO2 equivalent. And it contains forever chemicals, these called PFAS, that are harmful for the environment and the human health. And then you see now we're moving to R32. R32 is, even R32 is an interim solution under the Kigali phase down, because even there you see the GWP is still too high. Over 20 years, it's 2.7 tons almost, but it doesn't contain PFAS. So meaning, yeah, there's no more R22 available. R410A will also get the quota. I mean, there will be less and less and will get more expensive. And then R32, we still will keep for a longer period, but even this one we will have to phase out or really down to the minimum. And so what we promote is R290, because you can see the climate impact is almost zero. It has no environmental impact. It has no TFA impact. And of course, no ozone layer impact, which only R22 has. So what is important with R290 or R600A, in most of your refrigerators, you already have 600. R32 is flammable, and all future refrigerants, even the HFOs that are also toxic or flammable. And so what we need, and ammonia, as you see, I mean, you also have to, so what all future substances we have to handle with care. And therefore, we have worked on like 18 standards so far with EPA and with Ghana Standard Authority to come up with safety standards. And this is very important. Personnel needs to be trained, standards need to be followed. Also, the minimum energy performance standards are very important. And otherwise, you don't achieve efficiency neither. So looking at the safety standards, I only focus on heat pumps and ACs and chillers. You can see we can use up to 1 kilo of R290 in direct systems. But for example, at the nearly CO2, nearly carbon neutral building at the Energy Commission, we installed 2 chillers of 3 kilos each. So there's no limit if the refrigerant is outside at a chiller and so on. But even R1270, you can even use up to 1.2 kilos. So we are allowed to use them. There's safety standards. It's safe if we follow the procedures. And but even R32, the new chillers, or they use R32, you have the installation and maintenance and decommissioning requirements are the same. Flammable is flammable. So what we have done is we've done an inventory, a tier 2 inventory, and here you see the forecast in terms of energy consumption. And now we at 25. There's a mistake here. The 2015 is 25, the second one. And here you said, according to Ghana standard, IEC standard, we have the chiller. Let me go back into we have the safety standard for the ACs and heat pumps and chillers. So let me go back. I hope it's changing now. Did it change again?
Guess so.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
we are now on slide 9.
Okay. So we've done a tier 2 inventory and we checked, and currently we're almost using 10 terawatt already for cooling equipment. And you can see the biggest share is unitary air conditioning. Chillers are not growing that fast, but unitary air conditioning is growing a lot. Globally, they grow like from 1.6 billion to 3.7 billion in 2050. So they double, over double. And in Ghana, I think it's similar trend. So you can see, I mean, look at 2015 and then look at 2050, that the energy consumption is doubling for air conditioning, and up to 20.9 terawatt according to our estimates from 7 terawatt. And looking at the emissions, we see we work on climate change. So looking at the emissions are also increasing significantly. And this scenario already has the Kigali Amendment, the phase outs and phase downs of refrigerants. And here you can see the emissions under business as usual would increase like up to 12.8 million tons up to 2050. Sorry. So we have to really control the refrigerants here, but also the energy consumption. And so there's a huge mitigation potential, up to 4.3 million tons by 2050 annual. That's a lot. I mean, 1 ton you can fly with the plane to Europe, or you can drive 5,000 kilometers with your car. So we're talking about 4.3 million tons. This is how much we can mitigate if we introduce green cooling. I mean, you can read all in the Ghana inventory, greenhouse gas inventory. The link is in the PowerPoint. I'm sharing the PowerPoint. And even here, you see the unitary air conditioning sector has the biggest mitigation potential. You see, most of it is unitary air conditioning, the dark blue. But also mobile air conditioning plays a crucial role in your cars. I hope the slides are moving.
Still on slide 9.
On slide 9. What do you see? Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I should present like this. Is it better?
Yes.
Or is it better like this? Okay.
Well, at least it's changing.
Okay, I'm really sorry. I mean, the internet connection. So what I have here, I have 2 things. So we have the Kigali face down, and you're all architects, so you need to know. If you install now a system with 410A, let it be a multi-split VRF or a split unit or a chiller or a heat pump, whatever, then you might have trouble already in 10 years getting refrigerant for it, because the baseline under the HFC face down for Ghana is very low, unfortunately, meaning there is not enough refrigerant to service all equipment. So I strongly recommend, and please, if you have questions, you can always contact us. Strongly recommend, do not install old refrigerants. You will face problems in the future with servicing it, because the refrigerants will be either not available or very expensive. And you want a sustainable building anyway, so you should look at the environmental impact. And I mean, I showed you the GWPs. So looking at Ghana, it's the red line, the group 1. The first reduction of HFCs will be in 29 and then in 35. And these are then already, you see, 10%, 30% reduction, another 30% in 2040. And in 2045, we had only 20% of the baseline. And the baseline is not very high, unfortunately. And looking at the NDC, the climate goals, refrigeration, air conditioning sector is very prominent. And there's clear targets also. So Ghana has to comply with these policies. And as you know from CFCs, now from R22, there will be a shift. And I mean, with R22, we had a long time to phase it out. With HFCs, some of the high GWP refrigerants will be phased out much faster, within 5 or 10 years, some of them, or really phased down significantly. So we have a Ghana refrigeration air conditioning roadmap. And there is also a goal of 70% of R290 split ACs already in 2030. So the air conditioning sector, the commercial refrigeration sector, those are sectors where you can easily switch. Larger systems are more complex. There, you know, or I mean, there is some systems where you will still need to have used HFCs in future. But for smaller equipment, R290 or natural refrigerants are alternatives, low GWP or ultra low GWP alternatives are there. So looking at the split AC, the split sector is responsible for 8% of national greenhouse gas emissions. And that's also 50% of the overall cooling sector, according to the inventory. And one split AC can save between 2,200 and 2,400 kilowatt. And this is only small splits from 12 to 24,000 BTU. So from 1.5 horsepower to 3 horsepower. Is that correct? And you can save up to 9,000 Ghana cedi per year. And you can save up to easily 16 or even up to 26 tons of CO2 equivalent over lifetime with one unit. So meaning one unit is polluting every year like a ton or 2 tons of CO2 equivalent. So you can drive whatever 10,000 kilometers every year with your car and have the same CO2 emissions. Sorry? Okay. Sorry for that. So basically, in a nutshell, you know, most of the electricity is consumed by air conditioners, as you know. And most of the greenhouse gas emissions are also consumed by air conditioners because of the high leakage rates. And you can cut easily the electricity bill by 50% if you use the top class. And also, I mean, emissions can go significantly down by up to 80% of the, if you use the R290 air conditioner. And I mean, then you're becoming a sustainable, a green building and so on. I forgot there is a new green building, energy efficiency, green building standards. I will include it. Even in that green building guidelines for Ghana, they recommend switch to R290 if you can, or at least R32 if there's no R290 ACs available, systems available. So now I come to the actual project. So this was all background. And now I want to tell you about the Ghana Green Cooling Program. So this is a project implemented by GIZ and EPA. It's funded by Switzerland, I mean, by the CLIC Foundation from Switzerland. It's a Swiss foundation. And they work together with the Ministry of Environment in Switzerland. And I mean, we have a duration for installation up to 2028. And we really want to install like the top efficiency air conditioners that use the green refrigerant. And Switzerland is incentivizing up to 150,000 green ACs. I mean, those R290 ACs. But they also pay for trainings and end of life of the old refrigerant. So when we install a system, we should already think about what is happening at end of life. And I mean, if one air conditioner has on average a kilo of refrigerant, HFC, and that is equivalent to between 5 tons over 20 years or 1 or 2 tons over 100 years, and there is a high leakage rate every year, and this is only the direct emissions, and then we have the energy consumption. So what we are doing, we incentivizing air conditioner for private households, for corporates, and for the public sector. And I mean, we pay the incentive directly to the importer that the price is the same. So then if you buy a labels, as you can see, they are approved by EPA. They're available. I mean, we will stick them on the green ACs, but they also exist for green refrigerators. And I want to talk a bit about energy efficiency. I know you architects, you usually know about these things, but it's always good to repeat very, very briefly. So we have an old regulation of 2010 of Energy Commission and on MAPS, minimum energy performance standards and labels. And if you look, the old regulation has only 5 stars. And look at that model. That's an old fixed speed unit that used 2,300 kilowatt for 2,500 running hours only. Most ACs run 5,000 hours. So it would use 4,600 kilowatt. Then we have new labels, and the middle label shows you that there was an exemption, even if it's the new label is from 2022, the new regulation. But there's still exemptions, as you can see. So this unit uses 2,700 kilowatt. But the right model uses only 1,600 kilowatt for 2,500 running hours per year. So that would mean 3,600 kilowatt if you run it 5,000 hours. And that shows you, okay, I mean, 1 star can mean, it's the old label or it's a new label, but even there is huge differences. So be very careful if you buy an AC. But now we come to inverter. And now we are comparing an old label, that uses 2,000 kilowatt for an inverter unit for 2,500 running hours. And then we compare the R290 unit that uses less than 1,000 kilowatt for 2,500 running hours. So an old sticker with 3 stars, not 1 star, with 3 stars, is using double the electricity than our unit. And this is, I mean, if you assume 5,000 running hours, this can easily go to 2,500 or 5,000 Ghana CD. And this is only for small units now. We're not talking about larger units. So what I always recommend, and I hope the slide is changing, don't purchase, I mean, fixed speed, only buy inverter. Don't purchase R22 or R410A. You will face serious problems getting the refrigerant for servicing. And they're usually also not as efficient. And if a unit has a 5-star label, forget it. Look, that label is 16 years old. So energy efficiency is increasing every year. So these units are very inefficient. And our recommendation, only purchase 3-star AC units, which is the top class. There's, I think, only 1 or 2, there's only very few 4-star models on the market anyway. They're very expensive. So all it off usually after a very short time. This is like comparison of, for 4,000 running hours, how much electricity can be saved compared to inverter or a fixed speeder on-off unit. And it can go up to 750% in 10 years. Per year, it can be up to 75%, depending on the unit and what you compare it to. So if we look at the savings, here's the Hisense unit, the Midea unit, then you can see, I mean, Sorry for that typo, my dear unit. So you can see, I mean, the Hisense unit isn't more efficient, but we compared it to other Hisense models, and that's why it's saving more. The MyDear unit is more efficient, is the most efficient. It has a TCSPF of 6.2 or 6.1 or 6.2, so it's really high. A total cooling seasonal performance factor. The new labels are measured in total cooling, total seasonal cooling performance factor. So, but the savings are not as great here because we compared it to other standard MyDear or NASCO units. And this is just for a small 12,000 or 1.5 horsepower. And here you can see the savings are almost up to 2,800 Ghana CD, and here up to 4,400 Ghana CD if you use 4,000 running hours compared to the standard models, inverter 1-star or okay. So as we said in a summary, with 4,000 running hours, many people use it even more. You can save up to 67% and up to 4,400 Ghana CD, depending on what you can compare it with. And you can save, it's usually harmonized the investment cost, the additional investment cost after 6 months, latest, depending. Sometimes it's paid off immediately if you get like a very good one, a very efficient one, and yeah. So I mentioned use trained technicians. It's very important. And we trained already 400 and we are training more. There's already 120 in Accra. And there's also, GIZ worked with EPA on a qualification, certification, and registration system for technicians. And that's an LI 2505. So this one will be soon also implemented and enforced. And I mean, also to not only to ensure safety, but also to ensure energy efficiency. It needs to be installed by, I don't know, you heard about it. GIZ supported the Energy Commission in building this nearly zero energy efficiency building at the Energy Commission. And we installed the first R290 chiller in Africa, and which is quite remarkable. It has and I mean, it reduced the 50% the environmental impact, and also it reduced the overall. I mean, it's pretty autark. It has a PV system and so on. We have our own presentation. If you want, we could organize also a webinar on that building. With Augustine, you know, Augustine was the architect, you know, all of him. You know him, I don't know his surname. But Augustine and GIZ will also organize a viewing, a visit of the building, that you see how a building can look like, and also you can look at the chiller. That is pretty remarkable. There's a lot of publications. I mean, you will get an invitation. So there's a lot of publications. We have only put 2 here, safety and something about the technology, but you can get further information here. And I'm done. I mean, as I said, George Johnson is in the country. Frank is also there, a colleague who deals a lot with end of life. That's the number of George. And we have a general email address. You're allowed to share the presentation. We will share it with you, and we will send you further information. And we would highly appreciate a cooperation with your institute, but also with you as architects, because you are the people that can influence the CO2 footprint of a building. Thank you very much. I'm there now for questions and answers, but also George and Frank is there for questions today or even after. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Abigail. Hello, Abigail. Oh,
Hi, I'm here.
Richmond. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for your time and the members present, Ghana Institute of Architects, for being with us on this particular presentation, especially for the opportunity that you gave us for us to present this project and initiative to you as experts in. Yes, as we said, we have opportunity to ask more questions here. I think during the presentations, the slide were not changing. So if there's something that were not really clarified or not clear, as he was talking, maybe you could have seen the picture and connect with it. You can still mention it so that at least we can project that particular slide. And also, if there's any question that you have, you can ask now. So please, members, the floor is open for questions.
I see there's some questions already in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there are some questions already.
Okay.
Yeah, is the
Let me
R290
answer
more
those
efficient
things.
than? Okay.
Yes, let me answer them. So,
Okay.
so is R290 gas available in Ghana? Yes, it's available. It's used in all bottle coolers. You see Coca-Cola and Red Bull and Heineken and all the breweries, they went on R290 at least 10 years ago, you know? So they use all R290, all those ones. So it's available, yes. You cannot just replace the gas of the air conditioner, no. You have to, it's not no drop-in solution. So you can't refill the new gas or whatever, no. R290, I mean, even for R32 unit, you can't fill R32 in a R410A unit. You can't, like, just, I mean, you need to use R32 in R32, and you need to use R290 in R290. So there's no drop-in solution or whatever, no. It's a technology change. Once the unit is gone, it's old, it's inefficient, it has run for 10 years or whatever, you replace it with a green one. Yes, Daikin has a R290 product, but Daikin still does not sell it in Ghana. They launched it last year. It's not a new technology. We converted the first production lines 15 years ago. And in India or China, it's already, I mean, they sell it on the internet. Samsung and LG, they are not really ready yet. I mean, they might have it, but they're not selling it. You see, they still want to make money with R32. And the gas is not more expensive than R32. Because that was another question. No, I mean, the gas is available. R290 is not patented. And anyone can produce it very, I mean, if you have, so there's no patents on it like on R32 or any synthetic refrigerants. So the R290, is the R290 unit more efficient? This is another question compared to the R32 unit. I explained to you that, of course, you will also find a R32 unit with 3 stars. But it will cost double, I promise you. And I'm talking about the new 3 stars, not the old ones, you know. So 3 stars out of 7 stars. So you have to do the price comparison. I promise you, if you want to compare apples with apples, the R290 will be definitely cheaper, and it is green. And you will have less problems with servicing it in future, because the R290 will never be regulated in a way that we have to phase it out or down. So if you compare the R290 unit with a standard, I would say if you look 90% of all units in Ghana, if you look at the Energy Commission data, 90% have only, that are sold or in the registry, have only 1 star, you know, or even less. So there's the top a few percent only have 2 stars, 3 stars, and only 1%. I mean, only 1 or 2% have actually 3 stars. Go into the shop, go and have a look at the inventory. I mean, don't quote me, it's changing every day, but Energy Commission has a nice application where you can look at all the air conditioners that are registered and you see their efficiency. So the next question, okay, perhaps I wasn't paying attention. Is this new technology being piloted in India and Ghana only? No. As I said, it's 15 years old. It's not a new technology. In Europe, we will have this technology from 27 and 20. I mean, they're already selling it in Europe, but from 27 and latest from 29, R290 will be the #1 refrigerant. And the only advantage we have in Ghana is that because it's still not obligatory under the regulation Montreal Protocol, we can still get carbon finance to incentivize the units to have a similar price. And Ghana is one of the countries that is quite advanced on carbon finance. And those units, you see, the units are larger because they have more copper. I mean, the outdoor unit is a bit larger to be more efficient. You can't have a small outdoor unit and have a large efficiency. And the higher the efficiency gets, the more copper is needed. And copper is expensive. And that's why we're incentivizing the ACs to help Ghana preparing for the Kigali Amendment, and also to introduce this technology and incentivize it under the carbon finance scheme of Ghana. So simply put, what AC unit should I specify for my building such that any technician who takes the specification knows exactly what to procure for my project? Very good question. Thank you very much. It depends on the capacity. So if you have you're designing, let's say a house with three bedrooms and a living room, and I don't know where else you put in a kitchen or wherever you put the AC. Let's say, or you're designing 50 houses together in a condominium. Then yes, see, I mean, I strongly recommend always get the most efficient that's available. Of course, it needs to match with costs, but you can buy an inefficient unit and pay the same than for an efficient one, as you see. I mean, we're selling the top efficient unit, and the price is comparable to a much lower efficient unit. And so always try to look, is there R290? If you have smaller units like 12 or 18,000 BTU, then yeah, you go for R290. If you have larger units, unless there is demand, the problem is the chicken egg, there is no one is buying a 24,000 BTU R290. So nobody is producing it and shipping it and importing it. And so we start with the small. 70% of all ACs sold in Ghana are 60 to 70% are 12,000, 1.5 horsepower. So, and if you can't get the R290 one, then you buy the R32 one. But don't buy the 410A or the R22, and don't recommend to buy fixed speed. I will share the presentation. I put my recommendations in there. So I hope it's clear. If you can get the R290, if you cannot get it, then get the R32. But don't buy anything else, in my opinion. What are the implications for indoor air quality and occupant safety in the event of a refrigerant leak, given R290 is flammable? Yes, very good question. Basically, there is only 300 grams in the air conditioner, around 300 grams. It's not a lot. If you go into your bathroom and you look at the hair foam or your deodorant, it already has 150, 200 grams of R290 or inside. You can check it's propane, isopropane, whatever. So you already have it in your refrigerator. You're cooking with, most households in Ghana still cook with, 13 kilogram cooking gas. It's the same. And there's no safety implications. There's no standards. There's no technician even installing it. So the safety standard is there. If the technician is installing it properly, there is no leakage. If there's a leakage, there's no problem if the technician followed the installation requirements. And so you have to look at, and the same is happening for R32. R32 is flammable too. and so you need a trained technician that knows what he's doing. And then you can have a huge leakage, and there is no problem, even if there is, as long as the room size and the installation height is according to the installation manual. And if you buy a R32 unit of my dear, of Hisense, of GRI or whatever, it always says R32/R290. It's the same standard, the safety standard. So there is no problem. We installed over 1 million units in India, not a single problem. We installed over 1 million units in China, and this year they're installing 2 million, and next year 10 million. Only my dear alone. And so it shows that and they sell it on the internet. Even in Europe, you can buy it on the internet. We don't recommend it. So yes, it is flammable, but all future substances are flammable or toxic. So there is no other way. Can the R290 refrigerant be used in VRF system? And does it require complex design? Yes, of course it could be used, but so far it's not available in Ghana. And also, I mean, you see, the safety standards are always restricting certain uses. But I know also larger systems with R290, with larger BTUs and chillers especially. But VRF, so far not, because of safety, because of charge. And therefore, if you want to do VRF, you have to do it with R32. There's also CO2 for VRF systems. Daikin has it, but also other manufacturers have it. But the thing is, we are here promoting at the moment R290, and for VRF, you still have to stick to R32, but do not install any 410A chillers anymore. You know, they will call you in 10 years and say, what did you install? I don't get refrigerant anymore. And then what are you doing? You need to install a new chiller. What is the lifespan of a chiller? 20, 25 years or whatever. So, and if you don't get the refrigerant anymore, what are you doing? So you have to consider that already in your planning. You need to consider the policy and everything. Is there a perception from our local AC technicians that inverter AC are expensive, almost impossible to fix, since their boards are complex to fix compared to compressor fixed speed ACs? Are there efforts being made to workshop some these new systems to local technicians? Because truth being told, after project is handed over, the client may not engage with qualified technicians who work with the MIDIAs or these large companies. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, we trained over 400 technicians, and we will train more. And also UNDP will have to train more. So, I can also, I mean, sorry if I share my screen all the time. So basically, we need awareness on the technician side. And the problem with the inverter and the PCBs is that the main challenge with that is that, so we will share the presentation. If there's no other further questions, you have the presentation, and you can then contact us if you want to know anything else. And I want to thank everyone for your time. I hope you could learn something today, and I hope we have a project together soon. I mean, we could also yes.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Philip. Thank you very much, members of Ghana Institute of Architects, for your time. Yeah, I think it was